For centuries, Japan's warriors fought for emperors. Minamoto Yoritomo changed the question. Not who serves the emperor, but who controls the emperor. He built a parallel government beside the throne and made it last 7 centuries. How does one man rewrite the rules of an entire civilization? For 4 centuries, samurai served Japan's emperors. Then, one man reversed the equation. Warriors never left. But after 1192, it was emperors who served at warriors' pleasure. To understand what Yoritomo built, you must first understand what Japan was before him. The Heian period, roughly 794 to 1185, was Japan's aristocratic golden age. Power resided at the imperial court in Kyoto. The emperor and the great noble families controlled land, appointments, and culture. Warriors existed, the samurai, but they were employees. They enforced noble orders, guarded noble properties, and fought noble wars. They were tools, not rulers. Brilliant, dangerous tools, but tools. Minamoto Yoritomo was born in 1147 into one of Japan's great warrior clans. His childhood ended at 13, when the Taira clan, the dominant warrior family of the day, destroyed his family in the Heiji Rebellion of 1160. His father was executed. His brothers were scattered or killed. Yoritomo himself was spared, too young to be a political threat, and sent into exile in Izu province on the Izu Peninsula, far from the capital. He would spend the next 20 years there, watching, learning, and waiting. Exile gave Yoritomo something his rivals lacked: time to think. While Taira no Kiyomori consolidated control of the court in Kyoto, ruling through the emperor, appointing relatives to key positions, accumulating wealth and influence, Yoritomo built relationships with the warrior families of the East. He married into the powerful Hojo family of Izu. He cultivated connections across the Kanto region. He was not gathering an army yet. He was building a network. The difference would matter enormously. In 1180, a prince named Mochihito issued an imperial decree calling for the destruction of the Taira clan. Yoritomo answered. He raised the Minamoto banner in the east and called every warrior family that owed him loyalty to arms. The response was larger than expected, not because Yoritomo was loved, but because the eastern warrior clans had long resented Taira domination. What began as a personal vendetta became a civil war. Japan called it the Genpei War. 5 years of fighting that would reshape the country entirely. What set Yoritomo apart from every warrior leader before him was this: he stayed in Kamakura. While his generals, most famously his brilliant younger brother Yoshitsune, fought battle after battle across Japan, Yoritomo governed. He established courts, issued laws, settled disputes between warrior families, and built the administrative infrastructure of a new kind of government. He understood, in a way his enemies did not, that winning battles was only the beginning. What mattered was what came after. Yoshitsune's military genius did what no one else could. In 1185, he destroyed the Taira fleet at the Battle of Dan-no-Ura in the Shimonoseki Strait. The Taira clan was annihilated. The child emperor Antoku drowned in his grandmother's arms rather than be captured. Japan's most powerful warrior family was gone. The war was over. Yoritomo, who had barely left Kamakura, had won by letting his brother fight his battles while he built his state. Victory created an immediate problem: Yoshitsune. The younger brother, who had actually won the war, was now dangerously popular. Warriors across Japan admired him. Yoshitsune had appealed directly to the retired emperor for support, bypassing Yoritomo's authority. For Yoritomo, this was unacceptable. He did not need a beloved hero. He needed a loyal instrument. When Yoshitsune refused to submit, Yoritomo had him hunted across Japan. The greatest general of the age died a fugitive in 1189, killed by men acting on his brother's orders. The elimination of Yoshitsune was part of a broader pattern. After victory, Yoritomo systematically removed every independent power center that might challenge his authority. Warrior clans that had fought for him but owed primary loyalty elsewhere. Nobles who had helped him but expected reciprocal influence. He was building a hierarchy with himself at the apex and no competitors at any level. The Kamakura system was not chaos organized. It was control, designed from the start. Yoritomo's genius was recognizing what he needed from the emperor and taking exactly that and no more. He did not want to be emperor. The imperial institution had enormous legitimizing power. Appointments from the emperor carried weight that no warrior could generate independently. So he kept the emperor, kept the court, kept the ceremonies, kept the succession, while systematically emptying these institutions of real power. He needed the emperor's blessing to be shogun. The emperor needed Yoritomo's goodwill to remain emperor. Both understood the arrangement. In 1192, the retired Emperor Go-Shirakawa died. He had been the last significant political obstacle. A courtier clever enough to play different warrior factions against each other. With his death, Yoritomo moved. He petitioned the new imperial court for the title of Sei Tai Shogun, barbarian subduing great general, the ancient title that gave its holder military authority over all Japan. The court granted it. The appointment took a few minutes. What it inaugurated would last 676 years.
What exactly had Yoritomo created? Not a monarchy. The emperor still existed. Not a dictatorship. A structured hierarchy of warrior families, each with defined rights and obligations. He called it the Bakufu, the tent government. It was a military headquarters that had evolved into a governing institution. Warriors reported to Kamakura. Kamakura reported to no one. The emperor remained in Kyoto, performing ceremonies, legitimizing appointments.
But Japan's actual governance now happened entirely outside the imperial system.
Yoritomo died in 1199, possibly from injuries sustained falling from a horse, possibly from illness. The accounts are unclear. He was 52 years old. He had been shogun for 7 years. His sons succeeded him, but proved weak, and real power passed to his wife's family, the Hojo clan, who ruled as regents behind a series of figurehead shoguns. The institution Yoritomo created was more durable than the man. The bakufu he built outlasted his bloodline by centuries. The shogunate system Yoritomo established would transform multiple times over 7 centuries. The Kamakura bakufu was destroyed in 1333. The Ashikaga shogunate replaced it, governing from Kyoto for 200 years before collapsing into the chaos of the Sengoku period. The Tokugawa shogunate, established in 1603, lasted until 1868 and the Meiji Restoration. 3 different warrior families held the title. Each time, the institution proved more resilient than the individuals who wielded it. Yoritomo had built a system, not a dynasty. Why did the shogunate last so long? Because Yoritomo solved the central problem of governance in a warrior society. How do you institutionalize military power? His answer was the vassalage system, a personal bond between the shogun and each warrior family, in which the shogun guaranteed the warrior's land rights in exchange for military service. This gave warriors a stake in the system's stability. Destroying the shogunate would mean destroying the legal basis for their own property. They had been given reasons to maintain it. Yoritomo also understood something that would take Western Europe centuries more to learn: separating the sources of legitimacy from the sources of power. By keeping the emperor, he retained the legitimizing authority that warrior clans needed. Only an emperor could make a shogun. By controlling the emperor, he ensured that legitimacy flowed where he directed it. The genius was not overthrowing the old order, but subordinating it invisibly, leaving its symbols intact while hollowing out its substance. The price of the shogunal system was paid by the imperial family, by the court nobles, and ultimately by the peasants who were caught between competing warrior interests. The Genpei War destroyed much of the country. Subsequent conflicts destroyed more. Yoritomo's system channeled warrior violence into governance, but it did not eliminate it. For 7 centuries, Japan's political stability would depend on maintaining the balance within the warrior class. When that balance broke, as it did in the 1330s, the 1460s, and the 1560s, the results were catastrophic. Minamoto Yoritomo died obscure by the standards of samurai legend. He never led a battle. He executed his most brilliant ally. His bloodline vanished within decades. And yet, his creation, the concept of the shogunate, the idea that warriors could build a legitimate government beside the imperial institution rather than overthrowing it,
defined Japan's political structure for nearly 700 years. He is not remembered as a warrior. He is remembered as the architect of a civilization's operating system. That is a stranger and greater achievement.
Next time on Samurai Chronicles. You know the name from cinema, but the real Hattori Hanzo was stranger than the legend. He served Tokugawa Ieyasu through 30 years of warfare, survived every battle, and built the most feared intelligence network in Japan. The truth behind Japan's most famous ninja.
The story of Minamoto Yoritomo, the man who built Japan's operating system, changed how you see Japanese history. Subscribe for new episodes every week. The greatest achievements in history are often the invisible ones.